everyone. Welcome to Portland District Library's latest Littles art project, Pasta-saurus Time. My name is Miss Eileen and I'm going to be helping you through our two-part project today. You should have already received your take and make bag here at the library when you registered for the program. This is going to have all the supplies that you need to complete the project, except for caregivers. We are going to need a pair of scissors, and I'll talk about that a little bit right at the beginning of the project. So, in your bag, you have supplies to make two projects. First, we're going to start off making a T-Rex skeleton with pasta, and then we are going to make a little accordion book, a Triceratops accordion book, explaining how a fossil is made. Are you ready to get started? Let's get to it. What you see out on the table in front of me is everything that you received in your take and make bag here at the library. So you should have two sheets that look like this. This is going to be what we make our Triceratops, how a fossil is formed, accordion books. And then you're going to have just a black sheet of construction paper and a picture of a T-Rex skeleton. Then there's going to be a bag of five different kinds of pasta. You're going to have a little container of Elmer's white glue, some Q-tips, and a box of crayons. And then, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you're also going to need a pair of scissors. Now, mine are grown-up scissors, but caregivers and littles, I do encourage the littles to do their own cutting for the project. We definitely want to practice our scissor skills, and we get better the more that we practice. So that's really important, an important skill to have as they get older. But if you have a very little one, then you might want to do the cutting for them. Now, throughout these two different projects that we have, I will be asking you to pause the video. I know that everybody goes at their own pace in terms of coloring and cutting and gluing things, so I don't want you to feel rushed at all during any point. So there will be, like I said, multiple times where I'll just ask you to just pause the video, finish that step, and then continue the video once you're done. So we are going to start with our T-Rex pasta skeleton. So I'm going to go ahead and put my How a Fossil is Formed pages off to the side. And then out of your crayon box, this is kind of optional, but if you want to grab your white crayon, we might be writing some things on our black construction paper as we work on this part of the project. So what we are doing with our supplies here, which I have my black construction paper, my T-Rex skeleton picture, my bag of pasta, my glue, Q-tips, and then my white crayon, we are creating the T-Rex skeleton out of pasta. So we are going to be putting all of our pasta on the black paper and then using our glue to glue it down. And by the end of it, we'll have an entire T-Rex skeleton made out of pasta. And again, we have a bunch of different kinds of pasta in our bag. So let's go ahead. I'm going to just dump my pasta out on the table, and what you'll find is, again, different shapes, different sizes. Okay. And because this is an art project, there is no one right way of doing this. And so I'm just going to give you some tips on how to create your T-Rex skeleton out of pasta. Now, a skeleton, if you look at the picture of the T-Rex skeleton, a skeleton is just the bones of the dinosaur. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at our skeleton and we're gonna try to recreate it with the different shapes of pasta on our construction paper. And again, you can do this a couple of different ways. We have big macaroni, little macaroni, the twisty pasta, and then we also have spaghetti. And you can, let's see, I'm gonna start off by trying to recreate the head of our T-Rex. So that's what I'm gonna start with. And I recommend laying out the pasta before you glue it down. That way, if you want to change something or move something around, you can definitely do that before you glue everything and make it permanent. And if you end up having extra pasta and maybe you have some paper or construction paper at home, you can try and make maybe some different dinosaurs. So I am trying to make just this part of the skeleton. And we'll see. I'm kind of just playing around to see what I like the look of. Because I do want his mouth to look open, but let's see. So there is kind of his face. And then I'm gonna try and use, let's see. I'm gonna play with some of the little macaroni. Because I want it to look like he actually is showing his teeth. So let's see. Okay, and I think I'm happy with the way that his head looks right now. So I'm gonna move on to the rest of the body. And caregivers, just a little tip, if you're finding it too difficult to just kind of look at the picture and put the macaroni and the other pasta on the page, you can actually just cut this out and then use the white crayon to trace it onto the paper. But I'm gonna go ahead, like I said, I'm gonna do kind of his body here, so his back and his little front arms or legs. And I think I'm gonna use, let's see, for his neck, I think I'm gonna use some of the little macaroni. Again, I'm just kind of laying it out, seeing what it looks like, and then deciding if I like it or if I want to change it. So I've got little macaroni for his neck, and then for kind of the bigger part of his body, I'm gonna use some of the big macaroni. And then, of course, I have to make his arms, which I think I'm gonna use the twisty pasta. And then, let's see. I haven't used any of the spaghetti noodles yet, but I think, I think maybe I'll just use the little macaroni. His little claws. Okay, so we have his head, his neck, the main part of his body, and then his arms. So I want you to see if you can make the legs and his tail. So go ahead and pause the video now, and then when you're all done laying out your pasta, go ahead and play the video and I'll show you my tips and tricks on how to glue everything with our Elmer's glue and our Q-tips. So, welcome back. I hope you had fun deciding what pieces of pasta you wanted to use to create your T-Rex skeleton. And again, because this is art and I left it up to you, I hope yours looks different than mine and that you got a little bit creative with the pieces that you had available. And now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to glue everything down on your construction paper. So there is a piece of tape on the Elmer's glue container, and caregivers, if you can just help take that off. That's just to make sure it doesn't pop open in the take and make bag. And then we're gonna go ahead and take the lid off. And then what the Q-tips are for is to actually dip in the glue and then put down on the construction paper the glue, and then put our piece of pasta back down. So again, the idea is we're gonna lift one piece of pasta at a time, put a glob of glue down, and then put our piece of pasta right back down in its place. And we gave you plenty of Q-tips because as you start to use it, it gets kind of full at the end and harder to put glue down in one place. And this is just white Elmer's glue, so when it's completely dry, it will dry clear. So you won't be able to see it underneath your pasta pieces. So I am gonna start at the head of my T-Rex. And again, I'm just gonna take the Q-tip and very carefully put it in the glue, get a little bit on there, and then move my one piece of pasta, and then I'm gonna dab, and then if you need more, dab a few times, get a nice glob on there, and then I'm going to just push my piece of pasta into the glob of glue, and then I'm just gonna keep going. And this is gonna take a little bit of time, but when you're done, you will be able to hang up your T-Rex skeleton, maybe on the fridge or on the wall in your room, and you'll be able to enjoy it as a really fun piece of art. So I'm just gonna keep using that Q-tip and moving one piece of pasta, putting the glue down, and then putting my piece of pasta back. And the nice thing is that because the glue does take a little while to dry, if you don't put it back right in the exact place, that's fine. You have time to move it around a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna keep doing this part, moving the piece of pasta, putting my glue down, putting my piece of pasta back over and over and over again until I'm all done. So here is where I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and pause the video and do all of your gluing. And then when you're done gluing, go ahead and push play on the video and I will show you the last step to finish our T-Rex pasta skeletons. Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, I now have glued all of my pasta down onto my construction paper, and I think it looks like a pretty cool T-Rex. And I mentioned that there is a final step to this. If you want, you can take your white crayon, and what I'm gonna do is I am gonna write T-Rex really big here, And then I'm gonna write my name, or by Miss Eileen, down at the bottom so that I'm kind of signing my piece of art. So I'm gonna flip mine around, and as I said, I'm gonna write T-Rex with my white crayon, which is T, the letter T, and then a dash, and then R, E, X. And then down here at the bottom, I'm gonna write by, and then my name, Miss Eileen. Okay. So there we have it, T-Rex and by Miss Eileen. And now my pasta T-Rex skeleton is all done. Now we are gonna move on to creating our How a Fossil is Formed Triceratops accordion books. If you feel like you need a break from crafting, go ahead and just watch the second part of this video some other time. But I am gonna move right into making our books. So for this, you are going to need both sheets of paper that look like this. So this one has the little title of the book, and then these little rectangles with the different parts to our story written out. And then this part has little pictures and then little blank rectangles where we're actually gonna match these to the pictures. Now, step one of this part of the project is coloring everything. And it is completely up to you how you want to color the parts of your book. So you can color the cover and the little square rectangles with the words. You could color the little cover and all the pictures to our accordion book. So completely up to you how you want to color your book. I am going to color definitely my cover, and I want to make the actual Triceratops purple because that's my favorite color. And then I'm gonna make the words, How a Fossil is Formed, this yellow-green color. So I'm gonna work on just very carefully coloring my cover here. And go ahead and take your time with the coloring. We wanna practice staying inside the lines if we can. Just like I mentioned earlier with using scissors, the more we practice anything, the better we get at it. So the more that we practice our coloring and coloring inside the lines, the better we get at it. So I'm just gonna keep coloring. And here is, once again, where I'm gonna encourage you to pause the video and go ahead and just take your time coloring all of the parts of your book, making it look exactly how you want it to look. This is the second part of our art project. And again, with art, you can do and make things look how you want because you're creating things. So in this case, we're just coloring things how we want them to look. So go ahead and pause that video, and then when you are all done coloring, go ahead and press play, and I will show you how to cut everything out and glue your accordion books together. Now that I have finished coloring what I would like to color for now in my accordion book, I'm going to show you how to cut out everything, and then we're going to move on to gluing everything together. And littles, if you are 3, 4, or 5 years old, I would love to have you practicing your own scissor skills if you have little scissors at home, and practice cutting everything out. And caregivers, if your little one is younger than 3, go ahead and try and help them with cutting everything out, and then they can help you with the folding and the gluing parts. So I have my grown-up scissors here, and I'm gonna go ahead and start with my little cover that I have here. And I'm gonna cut this whole entire piece out to start with. And if at any point I'm going maybe a little bit faster than you, go ahead and pause the video. I want you to take your time with cutting the paper. I have been practicing my scissor skills for quite a long time, and so I might be a little bit faster than you, and that's okay, because like I said, the more that you practice, the better that you are gonna get. So I have cut out my cover like this, and you'll notice that there is a light gray line that goes all the way across the middle, and I'm gonna cut right along that line. And I know it feels a little bit weird, but I promise as we put our book together, it's all gonna make sense. And then the next thing that I'm gonna do is I am gonna cut out this entire section where all the words for my book are. And then once I have the whole thing cut out, I'm gonna cut out the little parts, because you can see that there's dotted lines, so I'm gonna cut along all of the lines. Like I said, now that I have the whole thing cut out, I'm gonna cut out so that I have 6 different rectangles. And the 6 rectangles give us all the information about how a fossil is formed. And then I'm gonna take my second page and I'm gonna cut this whole thing out as well, including, you wanna keep the parts that say glue on what you're cutting out. Okay, so we can set aside all the pieces that we cut away, and now we are left with all of these pieces. And I mentioned earlier that this is an accordion book, and what that means is that we are actually going to fold this piece here and then glue these little tabs on the top and bottom, and then you can open and close the book to read it. And then the last step is going to be to glue all of the actual story bits to match up to the pictures on our page here. So caregivers, if you want to help with the folding part, what we're going to do is we are going to just fold along all of the lines here. And again, we're kind of making it into what is called an accordion. So, like that. And I'm gonna create all my creases first and then make sure that they are actually folded in the right direction. It's gonna make a lot more sense once we glue the covers on. Kind of folding along all of those dark black lines. Even the ones right above and below where it says the glue part. Okay, so now I've kind of Okay, so you want to fold it so that it's kind of every other direction, and then the glue pieces line up on top of each other. And then that way, once we glue the top there and the bottom there, it'll cover up the actual pages, and then we'll be able to unfold the actual book. So once you have that folded, so that again the glue tabs are right above one another, we're going to go ahead and glue our cover pages on there. So we're going to grab our little glue cup and one of our Q-tips. We're going to go ahead and dip it, and the glue tab that is right above the whole body of the Triceratops is going to be the part that says how a fossil is formed. So go ahead and find the how a fossil piece, and then the glue tab right above the full Triceratops body, and that's going to get glued together. So once you've matched that up, you can go ahead and just put a little bit of glue right on that piece that says the word glue. We're just very carefully putting a little bit of glue on there. And then line up just enough of the how a fossil piece so that you cover up that section that says the word glue. And then we're going to do the same at the bottom tab, but this time we're going to have the is formed part. So we're going to take a little bit of glue and we're going to put it just in that section that says the word glue. And then we're going to take this and we're going to line it up so that it covers just the part that says the word glue. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to stretch out the accordion book, and we're going to match up the words to the pictures. So the first picture at the top here under the how a fossil piece looks like it's a Triceratops body. And what you want to do is find the piece that says a Triceratops dies. So that's the first step in how a Triceratops fossil is formed. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some more glue and we're going to put it in that rectangle. And then we're going to glue down that piece of our book. And then the second picture looks like the bones or parts of the skeleton of the Triceratops. And there's little circles all around. And the words that you're going to want to find say, let's see, the flesh rots or is eaten by other animals. So that one is going to be second. So we're going to go ahead and take some more glue and put that down. And then put that rectangle right in there. So that's going to be matching the second picture. And then we have the third picture, which again looks like bones, and there's this kind of squiggly line. And the words you're going to look for are, the bones are quickly buried by mud. So that's going to go in that rectangle. So we're going to take a little bit of glue. And then we're going to glue that part down. Okay, we've got 3 more to go before we have finished our books today. So here we have a picture again of the bones, and then there's a bunch of lines. And the words we're looking for this time say, layers of sand and mud build up over time. So that's going to be this one. And then we're going to take some more glue, put it in the rectangle there, and then glue that down. Okay. We have 2 more left. So this picture almost looks like exactly like this one, but there's this arrow. And the words we're looking for are minerals seep into the bones, the layers harden into rock. So that's this one. And then we have one more blank space and one more set of words. And this one says the rock is eroded and the fossil is exposed. Right, so now we can set our glue aside. So now we have completed the construction of our accordion books. Now what I want you to do is I want you to let everything dry, and once it has completely dried, you can go ahead and fold up your book. And now it's going to look like that, and then you can take the bottom part and hold the top, and you can unfold all the pages and then refold them back up. And that's why we call it an accordion book, because the pages look like an accordion or that musical instrument. So we are all done with the second craft in our Pasta-saurus Time Take and Make Bag project. Thank you all so much for joining me today for our Pasta-saurus Time Take and Make Bag program. I hope you had as much fun as I did making your T-Rex out of pasta, and then also putting together your Triceratops How a Fossil is Formed books. I would love to see any videos or pictures of you completing your projects or of your finished artworks. And you can send those to me here at the library at the email address coming across your screen now. Thanks again for joining me. I will see you next time for more Littles Art. Bye for now.